start with some assumptions. I feel it's important for us to kind of clear the slate in diving into this training. And so I want to ask you this question, and I'd like you to respond in the chat box with a yes or a no. And the question is, would you maintain an open mind, even if you've never considered using LinkedIn in the past, or if you are already using LinkedIn and are bringing in some preconceived notions, could you put those on hold if it meant a different approach that could get you better results? Give me a yes or no in the chat box. Now, it's absolutely proven that the more you interact and engage in any training, the more you're going to get out of it. So I've designed this training to be highly interactive. And that's why some very simple questions like this are going to get us interacting. So when I ask you to put a yes in the chat box, it's not for my benefit. It's not going to make any difference to me. It's for you. It's for you to engage your mind, and this will engage your subconscious so that you can retain and get more out of today's training, because we're going to be covering a lot. I'm going to give you everything I can in the time we've got today. I'm going to have to go through this at a pretty rapid pace in order to give it all to you. So let's answer this next question together here as well. If you don't currently offer services, would you offer a service? If it was turnkey, you could do it in less than an afternoon or less, and you could make $800 per sale with just minutes of fulfillment. Give me a heck yes in the chat box if this is a no-brainer, or a yes if it's something that makes sense to you, or I'm not sure, or no. I'm not going to call anyone out and embarrass anyone. The point is for you to be engaging here. And the reason I wrote this question out there at the beginning, and it's important for us to clear the slate and have an open mind for today. A lot of times we bring in these preconceived notions, such as, well, I'm a professional, I'm a corporate person, I'm a business owner, I don't really do services, I do products. And the analogy I like to use here is, if there was a $100 bill on the ground, 100 US, 100 euro, whatever it might be, and it didn't belong to anyone, would you bend over and pick it up? Of course you would. The answer is heck yes. I'm glad to see so many heck yeses coming into the chat box. And you wouldn't say, well, that's not what I do. I'm not a bender over, picker upper. I'm a professional. I'm an author. No, you wouldn't allow that label to hold you back. If the money's there to be made, you would make it. And I'm going to show you today how the money is there to be just picked up off of LinkedIn. And some of you are going to love this and go do it. Some of you are going to add this into your business. Some of you are going to use this as a new revenue stream to finance your dreams and passions. Some of you are going to use this as an intermittent strategy while you're looking for a job, but you want to bend over and pick that money up if it's there to be picked up. So let's start with putting LinkedIn under a microscope. Now let's draw some comparisons between LinkedIn and Facebook. So I'm going to ask you a question here. I want you to tell me the answer, whether it's LinkedIn. If it is, put it in that box. Or if the answer is Facebook, put an FB in the chat box. On which of these sites, LinkedIn or Facebook, can you see who's viewed your profile? Tell me in the chat box by giving me the answer LI if it's LinkedIn or FB if it's Facebook. Now just imagine if you had a web page and you could see every single person who's ever been to your web page, and then simply click on them and follow up with them. Even the people that didn't opt into your email list or didn't watch your video, if you had a way to know who they are and communicate with them, that would increase your business 5 or 10-fold. But there's no way in the world to do that on a website. There's no way to do that on Facebook. And as so many of you have told me, LinkedIn is the place where you can do that. And we're going to learn how to leverage that today. Next question. On which of these sites usually ranks best for your name? Anyone that meets you anywhere these days, online or offline, is going to Google you. That's part of doing their due diligence. Before they decide to do business with you, they are going to Google you. Google your name. And when they do that, what do they usually see? For me, it's above my own website, above gregwells.com. Right there is my LinkedIn profile. And this is another important part of why you need to be looking at LinkedIn, is that it's a part of your reputation marketing and reputation management. The last question that I want you to answer for me together, and again, in answering these questions, you're engaging your subconscious, is which site has a higher average annual salary per user? And I'll give you a hint. On this site, the average user has over $100,000 a year in income, which means they have money to buy your services, your products, your coaching, money to hire you, whatever it is you do. These are the people with money. And it just makes common sense to be doing business in the place where there's people with money. So LinkedIn is not just about finding jobs. Certainly that's how LinkedIn kind of started out, and that's been my claim to fame on LinkedIn in the past. You may have even been to trainings where I've helped job seekers get back to work. I've trained over 100,000 job seekers and helped them get back to work on using LinkedIn in the last 5 years. But today I'm here to show you how I use LinkedIn in my business. And more LinkedIn is becoming a platform for business people to find solutions to problems that they have in their business or life. And you are that solution. Your business, if you're in business, you're in the business of solving problems. That's one of my mottos, and it's going to be a recurring theme today, is that if you're in business, you're solving problems. People go to LinkedIn to look for people or businesses that can solve problems for them. So consider this. If just one person, for whatever reason, does a Google search and sees your LinkedIn profile, and this creates a favorable impression in their mind that leads to you directly or indirectly making money, wouldn't that alone be worth your time here today? Give me a yes or no in the chat box here. If you got just one new client that worked with you for the rest of this year or for an entire year based on them seeing you on LinkedIn and seeing some things that you're going to learn today, wouldn't that alone make it worth your time being here today? I'm glad to see so many yeses and so much engagement coming in, because we are absolutely going to over-deliver on that expectation here today. If that's your minimum expectation of one client would make this worth it, you're going to be thrilled with what we're going to cover today. Because on today's webinar, we are going to cover the 3-word sentence you must put on your LinkedIn profile that opens and closes deals for you. We're going to cover how to get people literally willing to throw money at you on LinkedIn. I'm going to show you how to land keynote speaking opportunities that pay over $10,000. I'm going to show you why you're not anywhere in the search results for 99% of the 4.2 billion, that's billion with a B, searches that are done every year on LinkedIn, and we're going to fix this almost effortlessly today. I'm going to show you how I generated, you can too, 25,000 plus targeted profile views at the press of a button, and the 3 calls to action that work best on LinkedIn. The 10 words you should never put on your LinkedIn profile. Chances are you have at least one of these in your profile right now, and it's killing deals for you. And we're going to start with the 3 most important areas of your profile, covering exactly what to do and to get the best results. Now, a quick note about myself. I'm not somebody who is known as or considers myself an internet marketing guru. Very little of my money comes from teaching this stuff. My income comes from doing this stuff on LinkedIn. Just to give you an idea of the type of results I've gotten from LinkedIn and what you are going to learn how to get today, I've built an email list with over 160,000 subscribers. Here's a screenshot of that as proof. I'm a big believer if somebody tells you that you should listen to them, they should show you proof as to why. If you had just a fraction of this doing what I'm going to show you how to do today, think how that would change your business and change your life. I've generated over $1 million in revenue for 3 straight years directly from LinkedIn. And a lot of the top internet marketing gurus, I'm the guy that they come to when they want to learn, or want to not even learn, but just know what should they be doing on LinkedIn. Frank Kern, for example, Wikipedia considers Frank Kern to be the #1 internet marketer in the world. This is Frank and I trading ideas on the whiteboard there as to what he should be doing on LinkedIn. Russell Brunson, another well-known internet marketer, you can see in this Facebook chat here, Russell says that he generated over $20,000 a month from one introduction I made to him on LinkedIn. I'm going to make that same introduction for you here today. Even Tony Robbins. Do we have any Tony Robbins fans in the house? If you're a Tony Robbins fans, give me a heck yes in the chat box. Tony, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. I was so honored when he pinned me down and said, Greg, I want you to teach LinkedIn at my Business Mastery event. This is his $5,000 event he does in Vegas and in London twice a year. And I'm going to give you everything I gave Tony's people for $5,000 today, plus a lot more. I've been in all the major media, and this is going to be something I'm going to show you how to do today. The major media is using LinkedIn to find people to put into their articles and into TV. I'm going to show you how I've done that and how you can do that as well. I landed a major book deal from LinkedIn. You've probably heard of Jack Canfield. If you've heard of Jack Canfield, put Jack into the chat box. He's the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. He was also in the movie The Secret. Jack's editors found me on LinkedIn, and they came to me and said, Jack wants to include a chapter on LinkedIn in his new book. Would you like to be in it? And I'm going to show you exactly how that went down here today. So enough about me. Let's dive into what it's going to take for your success on LinkedIn. There are 3 steps to your success on LinkedIn, and we're going to go deep into all 3 of these here today. Let's start with what I call conversion strategies on LinkedIn. Now, what do I mean by conversion strategies? Well, let's say currently over the course of a year, 100 people look at your LinkedIn profile, and 1 out of those 100 people choose to do business with you. That would mean you currently have a 1% conversion rate on LinkedIn. Does that make sense? Put 1 in the chat box if that makes sense. Well, so if we turn that into a 1 out of 10 choosing to do business with you instead, what would that do for you and your business? Give me a dollar figure in the chat box here. And also let me know what kind of business you're in so I can customize today's training for you. But give me a dollar number. And remember, we're not talking about a 10% increase in your business. We're talking about a 10-fold increase in the business you get from LinkedIn. That's what I'm going to train you on how to do next with these conversion strategies. And what would that mean in terms of dollars? I'm seeing big 5- and 6-figure numbers here, even 7-figure numbers. Lots of dollar signs coming in here. That's what we're going to do next. And the beauty of these conversion strategies is that it's not going to take any work. You're not going to have to be on LinkedIn to make any of this pay off for you. This first part, you just put this stuff into your profile once, and it pays off forever. That's the beauty of conversion strategies. So where do we start with getting on the profile, converting better, converting into sales and into dollars? Well, here are the 3 most important parts of your LinkedIn profile when someone first discovers you. Your picture, your headline, and your current positions. Your picture is what instantly captures the eye at a glance, and it needs to create instant authority. Picture is what gets them to read your headline on LinkedIn. I see way too many people that teach LinkedIn that never talk about the picture. I see this with a lot of people that teach social media. They never talk about how important your picture is. Your picture, the visual, is what captures your eye. Take a look at this search result on LinkedIn. I told you I would show you how I got the book deal with Jack Canfield. This is the search that Jack Canfield's editors told me they ran on LinkedIn. Now, why do you think Jack Canfield's editors picked me to be in this book with Jack? Tell me in the chat box if you're seeing this, if it's obvious. You should feel it and get it as you're hearing this here. And I wasn't at the very top of the search results. My friend Jason was. And everyone who's on this page are well-established authors. But they picked me. They didn't contact or consider anyone else. It was a no-brainer decision for them. And I wound up being in this book with Jack. Everything Jack touches turns to gold. That's how I became a best-selling author. It's an amazing honor to be in a book with someone the likes of Jack Canfield. It's a book that my kids read. So many of you are seeing it or getting this. And it's important that you're engaging because we're moving things through rapidly here. Your brain will pick things up deeper as you're engaging here. So it's those media logos. Those media logos under my picture is what I had that no one else had. And that created instant authority and just captured their eye and drew them into me. That's what you want to have. This is one of the takeaways you're going to get from today that will be so valuable for you. And this is so much bigger than just LinkedIn. This applies on Facebook, any place that you have a picture, your business card, your website. You want that picture to instantly capture the eye and to instantly create authority. And by adding the logos, any media that you've been in, big or small, we all have to start off somewhere, add those logos and those pictures to your profile picture. It will draw more people into the rest of your profile. At a very simple glance, you, of course, stand out from the rest of the results. That was obvious when you saw the search that Jack Canfield's editors ran, but it's more than that. People are now going to be more willing to listen to you. They're going to be more willing to read what's in your profile and act on it because they're seeing you. They already feel like you have authority and you're the expert. They're going to be more willing to listen to you. They're going to be more willing to trust you. You're seen as having a level of status. It's all done at a very subconscious level, at a glance. And overall, when you add those logos and have that authority, you are dramatically improving your chances at getting a client both on LinkedIn and off LinkedIn. Now, why do I say off LinkedIn? Because remember, when you meet somebody in the real world or anywhere, they're going to Google you as part of their due diligence. And when they Google you, they're going to wind up on your LinkedIn, and that's where they're going to see your authority and make their decision about whether or not they're going to do business with you. Now, by the way, how much would it be worth to any business owner or professional to get guaranteed placement into the media and be able to use those logos on their LinkedIn profile, their webpage, their business cards? Give me a dollar number in the chat box here as to how much it would mean to either your business, if you have an established business, or one of your clients' businesses, or if you don't have a business, maybe your employer's business, or just picture a business. How much would it be worth to get into all 4 of those television networks, and then for the rest of your life to have those logos and be able to use those? I'm seeing many people are putting in priceless. Carol put in the dollar sign about 8 times here. I'm seeing $1 million, thousands of dollars, at least 6 to 7 figures. Unlimited funds would roll in. Heaps, says Nicole, and lots more of similar answers like that. And you're exactly right. It is that valuable because once you have that authority, you have it forever. And you want to be that person who has that authority. So what's next? Well, after your picture draws them into your profile, then they're going to read your headline. Just like you would read a headline on a web page or in a newspaper. The headline is very important after the photo has captured their attention. Your headline to further convey authority. You want it to differentiate you from the rest of your competition, and you want it to include a URL. This is a big takeaway for you to write down on LinkedIn. If you want to build an email subscriber list like I have, you've got to include a link to your webpage right there in your headline. Your picture and your headline follow you around everywhere you go. And if you want to build a subscriber list, you want your link to follow you around everywhere you go. Put it in your headline. Now, lastly, your current positions display right under your headline and are an important part of your frame and your brand. You don't want these to be jobs, especially if your past jobs have had nothing to do with what you're currently doing. Here's an example of how you can set up your current positions to be consistent with what your brand is and what you're doing now. So look at, this is my friend and client, Vivica Von Rosen. You'll notice where it says her current positions, she's got clickable links to her YouTube channel. That's how she drives traffic to her social media properties. You'll also notice in her profile picture, she's got those media logos, just like I've taught you to do. She's following that same advice. And we're going to see in a case study coming up how this has really paid off for her. So just a quick review of what we've covered so far here today. The 3 most important ways to stand out on LinkedIn are having an image that conveys authority. The best is by having the media logos in your image, a headline with your specialization in a link, and then your current positions set up as links. When you use this formula I've just shown you of having a headline with a link and having a picture with the logos, take a look at this case study of the results you get. It says, Greg's LinkedIn secret strategy added over 313 registrations to my email list and sales webinar using LinkedIn. And that's within 30 days. That's Terry Wilkerson, a well-known speaker and executive coach who was doing very little on LinkedIn. All she did was what I just showed you and added 313 registrations in 30 days. Now, remember, this stuff just helps get someone to choose to look at your LinkedIn profile instead of choosing someone else's profile. It doesn't guarantee you're actually going to make more conversions and more dollars. What we're going to show next is how to actually turn your LinkedIn profile into a selling machine. By the way, I'm seeing some questions in the chat box. Please hold your questions until the end. We'll have a full-blown Q&A at the end. I want to get through all the training in our time together so we don't have to cut anything out. And then I'll stay here and answer your questions as long as we need to today. So where does the eye go next on your LinkedIn profile? After your headline has drawn them in and your photo has drawn them in, it goes to your profile summary. This is the most important part of turning your profile into a selling machine, turning your profile into dollars. You want to properly use your summary. Most people treat the summary as a place to list their work experience. Instead, you want to treat it like a sales letter. You want to treat your summary as if it was a sales rep for you, a salesperson. Now let's think about any good sales meeting. If you walked into a sales meeting with a client and started saying things like, well, I'm considered one of the best at what I do. I have 8 years experience in this and 12 years experience in sales, and I have an MBA, and I'm a team player, and I'm a thought leader. How would that sales meeting go if those were the types of things you started off saying? It would go terrible. That's obvious. How does any good sales meeting go? You guys tell me in the chat box. I know there's some people here with sales experience. How does any good sales meeting go? Exactly. You talk about things from the customer's point of view, what's in it for them. You ask some questions. Exactly, Jerry. You open with a question to find out some more about them, and you build rapport through your questions. And that's how I'm about to teach you how to write your LinkedIn profile summary so that it turns into a salesperson for you, so that you can make sales right from your LinkedIn profile. Now, whatever you do, you want to avoid these buzzwords on LinkedIn. If you've been engaging with me, these will sink right into your subconscious right now. LinkedIn themselves has done the research to prove that these are the most overused buzzwords. When you use these words, it actually sabotages your authority. People start to think you're an exaggerator and you're inflating what your claims are. Here's the formula for how you're going to construct your LinkedIn profile summary. It's very short and sweet. You don't want to have anything else in your summary that'll distract from this. It's a 3-sentence formula. I'm going to share with you some examples to break this down, because I find you learn best through case studies and some examples. Here's an example that'll start to flesh out how this works. So in this example, let's say you help speakers and coaches become bestsellers. So you're going to open with a question. All good sales calls open with a question. And the parts that are in bold here are the same for all of us. In this example, it's, you know how most speakers and coaches struggle to write a book and get it to become a #1 bestseller? Picture if I'm an author and I read that, I'm thinking, wow, this is somebody that finally gets me. Then in sentence 2, you say, I solved this. This is a framework that by the end of today, you're going to adapt to your business, and you'll be able to plug in this into your business and use this framework on LinkedIn to turn your profile into a selling machine. In sentence 3, you say, I solved this. You connect with them, you build rapport by asking a question and showing that you understand their problem. And then you tell them, I solved this problem, and then you tell them how you solved the problem. Here's that formula again. Let's break it down. I want you to write it down at this point, just word for word. We'll come back to this. Your subconscious will come up with a way to customize this for you later on. And if you don't have a business, don't know how you would use this yet, I'm going to give you something fantastic to plug into this here today. So it starts with you know how. Then you're plugging in whatever your target audience is. The more specific you can be, the better. And then you're plugging in what the biggest problem is that you solve for your target audience. If you're in business, you're in the business of solving problems. Insert the biggest problem and make it a question. Then you say, I solved this. Then you tell them how you solve it. Let's break down the psychology behind why this formula works. It's actually a very advanced copywriting technique. And I'll show you exactly how and why this works. What you're doing is you're offering a solution to the problem your audience seeks in the first place. And so this builds rapport. It shows them that you understand their perspective. This is finally somebody who's not talking about themselves all the time, but somebody who gets me. And then so you connect with them through that question. Then when you say, I solved that, it compels them to say, really? I want that. You can solve this? And what you're actually doing is what's called entering the conversation in the reader's head. You're having a sales dialogue with them in their head, them being the reader, without you even needing to be there. And when you say, I solved this, it makes them naturally curious and sometimes skeptical. I wonder how you solve it. Then very simply, you tell them how you solve it in sentence 3. Let's do another example to flesh this out. So in this example, let's say you're an offline local marketer. That's someone who helps businesses generate leads using the internet. It doesn't have to be in your city. It can be in any city. That's the beauty of doing this on the internet and on LinkedIn. But in this example, I live in Tampa. I'm going to use Tampa. So it says, you know how small businesses in Tampa, that's my target audience, struggle to find ways to get new customers from the internet? Question mark. Just think if I'm a small business owner in Tampa, searching around LinkedIn for someone that can help me, and I read this, I'm going to say, wow, this is finally somebody that gets me. Awesome. That's exactly why I'm here in the first place. Then when you say, I solved this, it's like the conversation is taking place in my head, and now you just tell me how you solve it. Do you get this? Do you see how powerful this is and how you'll be able to adapt this and use this in your business? Give me a yes or a heck yes if you're getting this in the chat box here. If you're not getting it, give me a no or I'm not sure. We'll spend an extra minute on this. I don't want to leave anyone behind. And believe me, this is much bigger than just LinkedIn. I use this same exact formula as my elevator pitch when I meet people at conferences or networking events. And you should too, because it works hook, line, and sinker to set up the sale and draw people in. And so just to give you an example, if I meet somebody at a marketing conference and they say, well, what do you do, Greg? If I say, well, I teach LinkedIn, that doesn't mean jack to them. But if I say, well, you know how businesses are looking for ways to get more leads and get more revenue from the internet? And when I ask that question, when you do it in the real world, I can literally see their head nodding, and they're like, yeah, that's exactly why I'm at this conference in the first place. Then when you say, I solved this, I can just see them looking at me and squinting their eyes like, really? Aren't you going to tell me how you do it? And that's where it's like they're giving me permission to tell them about what I do and how I can help them, giving me permission to do business with them. And I go on to tell them I do it by using LinkedIn. Now, if you want to get people to buy from you, you need to tap into emotions in your copy. This is another advanced copywriting technique. Notice the words I put in red here for you. These are emotional words. You want to tap into emotions. When you combine this formula and also elicit emotions, remind them that they're having pain and struggling to do what you solve, that gets them into a state where they're ready to buy. So you make your copy on LinkedIn or wherever you're going to use this, because you can use this on your web page, you can use it in your network, you can use it everywhere. You make it even more powerful when you tap into emotion. Here's some examples of emotional words. You want to use negative and positive emotional words. These will sink into your subconscious if you're engaging with me here. Let me give you that formula one last time. And we're going to go through one last example of this that should really hammer this home. But make sure you've got the formula down by now. Write it down word for word. Don't worry about getting it perfect at this point. It'll just come to you by the end of today. That's the way it works when you tap into your subconscious and engage. Here's one last example. You know how it's hard to get into national publications like NBC and ABC so you can become a recognized media authority? Weren't we just talking about how important it is to get into the media? And some of you even in the chat box said to me, Greg, how do I get into the major media? So you should be nodding and then saying, yeah, this is a thought I had earlier today. Well, I solved this. I'm going to solve it for you. In fact, in today's training, I'm going to show you how to get into the major media. Now, doesn't that get you excited? Well, how are you going to do that, Greg? Well, let me tell you how I do it. So you see how this works, hook, line, and sinker, to draw your audience in. So picture this. This is how everything ties together that I've shown you so far. Today's training builds on each segment. So if someone does a search for you on LinkedIn, it's your picture with those media logos that you're going to learn how to get today that draws them in. That gets them to click through, and then they see your pre-sale statement. Your pre-sale statement builds rapport with them, gets them ready to buy, and elicits emotion. Now, all you need to close the deal, to make the sale right there from your LinkedIn profile without you needing to be there, is a call to action. A call to action tells people what to do next after you get them excited. Here are the 3 best calls to action on LinkedIn. You need to write these down. You know, you would never run an advertisement anywhere without a call to action. You would never do a video and get everyone all excited and not tell them what to do next. And the same concept applies to LinkedIn and all of your social media properties. Yet most of us don't bother to put calls to action or just didn't think of that. Having a call to action in your LinkedIn profile, of course. I use this exact same formula to sell programs that are $1,000 or more and up right from my LinkedIn profile without needing to talk to a single person. And this works in every niche, in every business. It will work for you. Take a look at Randall. Randall says, this is the best LinkedIn training I've had in the past 3 years. As soon as I implemented the summary format you suggested, which means what you just learned, I started getting groups from major corporations signing up for my training course, which equals 7 to 10K per group. Randall's selling 10K programs through his LinkedIn profile. They buy it from the call to action. They buy it from the pre-sale statement. His picture is what hooks them in. No matter what your product or service is, no matter what your price point is, this formula will work for you to get buyers from LinkedIn. Now, you might be thinking at this point, Well, Greg, this is all well and good with what you've shown me so far. One problem, though. How am I going to get anyone to see my profile? If you were thinking this, or if you're now thinking this, go ahead and put yes into the chat box. Because it's fair game. You know, if I have this perfectly sales machine LinkedIn profile, but nobody ever sees it, aren't I the equivalent of being a beautiful billboard out in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, and the answer is yes. The answer is yes. So, you know, fair game if that's a thought or question you're having right now. Well, I solved this. I'm about to solve it for you with what's coming up next in our training. And I do this as just kind of another kind of sneaky and fun example to show you how well this works. I pose the question to you. It's a problem that you need solved. It's a problem that I solve in my business. And I tell you, build a rapport by connecting with you. I don't hide from the objection. I put it out there. And I tell you that I'm going to solve it for you. That's how this works. Hook, line, and sinker. So let's solve it right here while we're here. Let's start with what converts best to cash on LinkedIn. We've already touched on this. Now we're going to learn how to really leverage this. You need to follow up with who's viewed your profile on LinkedIn. People don't land on your LinkedIn profile by accident. If somebody's looking at your LinkedIn profile, there's a reason they were there. That's a very, very pre-qualified lead for you, and you need to be leveraging this and communicating with people. If you're already doing this, you're already aware of this, give me a yes in the chat box. If you're not aware of this, give me a no, or I'm not sure what you're saying here, Greg. I'll spend an extra minute on this. I want to make sure that everyone understands what we're talking about here. I'm seeing a lot of yeses pouring in, and now here comes some of the no's. Okay, so let's spend an extra minute on this. Probably we're at about 70% yeses, but let's spend an extra minute on this so we don't leave anyone behind. So on the left-hand side here, you see where it says who's viewed your profile? That's on your home page on your LinkedIn. Make sure you're paying full attention here right now. Don't be on your LinkedIn or on anywhere else, because this is really important. This is how you're going to get lots of traffic and views coming to your LinkedIn profile here. So, like right there is where it shows you the number of people. You see where it's a blue and it says 73 people viewed my profile in this one day. You click on that, and then the screen on the right shows up. These are those actual 73 people. And I can click on each of these people, read about them, see what they're about, and send them a message. And the message basically says, hey, I saw you were checking me out. Let's continue the conversation. These are very pre-qualified leads. Those of you that put no in the chat box, if you get it now, what we're talking about here, put I get it now in the chat box. If you're still not clear, put another no in the chat box. About 70%, probably 75% of you said that you already get this or are already doing this. And that's because most people are starting to really become aware of this. Now, with the free account on LinkedIn, as you asked, you can see the last 5 people who have viewed your profile. That's probably all you need right now. Once you start to get more than 5 views per day, you don't want to lose those leads. At that point, it's worth it for you to upgrade to the paid account on LinkedIn. You always get more functionality when you pay for something. That's just a given in life. And so for $20 a month, you're allowed to see everyone who's viewed your profile. And it's well worth it once you start getting more views on your profile, like I'm going to show you how to get today. I'm going to show you how I was getting 73 views in that one day. Now, LinkedIn themselves is really pushing this strategy of following up with who's viewed you. And I want to ask you, see if you get this, because I know there's some really smart people here, some very business savvy people. Why do you think LinkedIn is educating everyone to be following up with who's viewed you on, who's viewed your profile? Tell me in the chat box if you're getting this. I want to see who the really smart people are here. Take a stab at it. And in fact, I'll go so far as to tell you this backstory to it. LinkedIn, at the end of last year, held a webinar for the top 20 LinkedIn experts in the world. I was on this webinar, and they gave us their roadmap for the future. And what they told us is, this is the future on LinkedIn, following up with who's viewed people's profiles. This is what we want all of you to be teaching. And we've all been teaching it ever since then. That's why 70% of you are already aware of this and are doing this. The word has spread last year. So why do you think they're doing that, though? Exactly. Some of you are getting it here. It's about money, very simply. When you start following up with who's viewed your profile, you're going to eventually need to get the $20 a month paid account. And if LinkedIn has 250 million members and gets just 1% more, that'd be what, 2.5 million people to spend $20 a month? I believe that's $50 million a month in new revenue they've just created by getting me and every expert out there to educate you on doing this. Brilliant by them. And really, it's win-win. It's not a bad thing for us because we need to be utilizing these leads. So I saw this trend coming. This trend of following with whose view you is what everyone's doing, and LinkedIn themselves is pushing this out to everyone. And what I'm about to show you next is the secret tactic I've been using for a year now to generate droves of traffic to build my list and drive my revenue, leveraging this trend of following up with who's viewed you. Here's what you need to do. Pay close attention to this because this will work for you no matter what type of business you're in. So on LinkedIn, they have this advanced search feature. I'm sure you're aware of it. If not, I can train you on how to use it during the Q&A. But you can use this search feature to find your exact perfect target audience. That's what LinkedIn is so good at. It has all this data about us, and we can search through these people. So now all you need to do is find your target audience and go view their profile. Why? Because what are they being taught to do? What are 70% of business owners already doing? Even our own call here today proved this. What they're doing is looking at who's viewed them and coming back and viewing you. Do you get this? It's so simple. It's sneaky, but so simple. It's so powerful way to generate targeted views of your from your exact target audience. Now, the reason this works so great is when you tie it together with the conversion strategies I gave you. This is the traffic strategy. You need traffic and conversion to succeed on the internet. You need both. You need to get people viewing you, and then you've got to have a perfect message. You've got to have authority and a pre-sale statement. Well, I trained you on how to get the authority and how to write the pre-sale statement. Now this is how you're going to get your traffic. You're going to go out and view your perfect target audience, and those business owners, those professionals on LinkedIn, a percentage of them are going to come back and view you. And when they view you, they land on your pre-sale statement, they see your authority, they land on your call to action, and they buy from you. That's how this all ties together. So I find for every 100 profiles you view, on average about 7 people will view you back. Now that may not sound like a lot, but in about an hour and a half to 2 hours work, you can generate 7 targeted leads. Remember, these aren't random leads. You're going to go out and view your exact perfect target audience. So it's your exact perfect target audience that's going to be coming back and viewing you. And this works especially well when you have those authority logos. Like you see in the bottom right part of my picture here on the screen here, you see my profile. When they see those logos, they're like, who's this guy, Greg, from NBC and ABC that's been checking me out? I'm going to go check him out first. That's how this ties together and works extremely well. Now, do you think guys like me sit around doing this manually? Am I viewing hundreds of profiles every day? Or do I probably have a much better way of doing this? If you have an inkling of what I'm probably getting to, I'm going to show you during the Q&A. Put it in the chat box here. We'll see who the people are that are paying close attention and are probably getting this. And it's not outsourcing. Well, you certainly could outsource this. You could give it to your teenager to go do. But why, if they're doing the same thing over and over again and it's a repetitive task, isn't there always a better way to automate that? That's what I'm talking about, and that's what I'm going to show you how I'm using to scale this. Because 7 views is not a lot, but when you're suddenly getting 70 views a day, like I showed you I was getting, and they're all your target audience, that is powerful, and that's what you want. That's what you're on your way to getting. Now, consider this. LinkedIn is a search engine. If we know how to rank at the top of the search engine of the LinkedIn search results, this is another powerful way for you to get exposure, traffic, and views and customers from LinkedIn. Some of the most common searches on LinkedIn are for SEO, social media, speaker, author, consultant, web designer. If you do any of those things or can outsource any of those things, you especially want to be doing business on LinkedIn and showing up in the LinkedIn search results. Now, LinkedIn search optimization is my real claim to fame. In fact, Fast Company magazine has dubbed me the nation's top expert in LinkedIn search optimization. And I'm going to tell you that they don't call me the top expert because I'm better at teaching it than other people. What I'm really good at is making it really simple so that you can do it. So let me show you how to do this. And just picture the power of this. Take a look at this case study. This is my friend and client we heard from earlier today, Vivica Von Rose, and I helped her get to the top of the search results for social media speaker. Out of 172,000 results, she's at the very top there. You see that? And as a result, Vivica landed a keynote speaking opportunity. They was an all-expense-paid trip to Cabo and a $10,000 fee to show up and speak for an hour and then be on a panel the next day. $10,000 and a weekend in Cabo. Would you like to have those type of speaking opportunities? You're just as qualified as she is to be speaking on your topic, and conferences now consider LinkedIn the #1 place for them to go to look for speakers. These are conferences from the marketing world, but conferences from the business and corporate world that have big budgets to pay for big speakers. If you're not getting paid speaking gigs right now, it's because you're not being found on LinkedIn. It's very simple to fix this. Let me show you how to fix this. So LinkedIn SEO, search engine optimization, is so simple compared to Google SEO. I don't know anything about Google SEO. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a straight shooter with you. I don't know about backlinks and code and all that kind of stuff. You don't need any of that on LinkedIn. Here it is. This is my secret sauce to getting to the top of the search results on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's algorithm assigns more weight to the words that are in these 5 places. If you put your keyword phrase in these 5 places, you will get the maximum weighted score you can get for those keywords, and you will show up at the top of the search results. Of course, your keywords are the words you would want to be found for, the words you would want your customers to find you for, the words you would want the conferences to find you for. Now, there's a second step to being found on LinkedIn. And this is because LinkedIn has a unique way how it shows search results. You do not get to search through the whole database of everyone on LinkedIn. It's not like Google. When you run a search on Google, you're searching everything that's on the internet. When you search on LinkedIn, you're searching your network and 3 levels deep of your network. So this is a real important concept for you to understand on LinkedIn. If this is you, the average person on LinkedIn has around 77 to 100 connections and has an extended network of 250,000 people. And that might sound like a lot, but what you need to realize is that LinkedIn has over 250 million members. So if that's you, you're missing out on 99.9% of the search results. 99.9% of the customers, the buyers, the conferences can't find you because you're not connected with them. If you get this 3 degrees of separation and how this impacts you, put the number 3 in the chat box. If you're not clear on this, put a no or a not in the chat box, and I'll spend an extra minute on it. It's a real important concept that we're going to build on right now. Even if you have, say, 2.5 million people in your network, that means you're now missing out on 99% of the search results because there's 250 million members. And so no matter how big I build my network, say I'm the customer, say I'm the buyer, no matter how big I build my network, I don't find you. You don't show up in my search results unless we have an overlapping connection. So if you've isolated yourself by only connecting with people you really know, you've limited your ability to be found on LinkedIn. You need to invest in building out your network and not just connecting with random people. Building out your network at the 3rd level is where success happens on LinkedIn. 3rd level depth in your network is critical to your success on LinkedIn. As you can see in this before and after case study, I worked with this client, helped them build their network out to 47 million people, so that now half of the U.S. world could find them, whereas before less than 1%. That's a 500% increase in the depth of their network. If you're getting that now, put I get it now into the chat box. And you might be feeling a little overwhelmed, like, how am I going to build millions and millions of connections on LinkedIn? That sounds like a lot of work. Well, how about if I give you a shortcut to it? There is a shortcut that LinkedIn does not want you to know. Because if everyone just connected to everyone, the whole value proposition on LinkedIn would break down. But there is a very simple way so that instead of showing up in none of the searches, you're now in almost all of the searches. And the shortcut is to connect with what's called super connectors. Now, I have an example of a super connector. And what that means is when you connect with me, in that instant, takes you all of an instant to connect with me. My 1st and 2nd level connections become your 2nd and 3rd level connections. And if you look at my network statistics here on the screen, you'll see that there's almost 4 million people that join your network the second you connect with me. So a little light bulb should be going off right now. Okay, I get it. I add Greg, I get 4 million people. I find 10 super connectors like Greg. They each bring a couple million people to my network. Now I'm growing my network in the millions. And I'm not connecting with all kinds of random people. I'm doing it strategically by using super connectors. Now, it's real important you do this strategically because LinkedIn only gives you 3,000 invitations for your lifetime. Once you use them up, you're out of invitations. They don't always give you more. There is this way to get more that I can tell you about. But you don't want to just connect and invite everyone to connect. You do want to connect with super connectors. If you get this power of super connectors, put the word super in the chat box. If you're not clear on why you would want super connectors, put not or not clear in the chat box. I'll spend an extra minute on this. I'm seeing everyone typing super into the chat box. Fantastic. So, how many super connectors do you need? Well, you need about 100 because the super connectors out of overlapping connections. It's not like you add me, you get 4 million, you add the next guy, now you're up to 8 million because a lot of our connections are overlapping. We're all connected to each other. But a handful, say 100, could really skyrocket your network. So how do you find these super connectors? Well, LinkedIn used to allow you to run a search and then sort by number of connections. You see this screenshot? This is from LinkedIn 2013. LinkedIn took this feature away, though, because they realized people were utilizing the super connectors to beat their search algorithm. And so there no longer is an easy way or any way from LinkedIn to find the super connectors. Lucky for you, during the Q&A today, as a reward for staying till the very end, I'm going to show you a way that you can get access to the top 100 super connectors. Once you have them and you're connected to the super connectors, your network will be expanding into the multi-millions. Now you'll be able to show up in the search results. So who's searching for you? Who's going to find you once you have the super connectors? Well, now potential clients will find you. If you've never gotten a client from LinkedIn, it's because you just probably haven't shown up in your search results on LinkedIn. And remember, this is especially powerful now that you know how to write your profile to pre-sell. That's why these strategies tie together so well. You're also going to have publishers that find you. This is how I landed my book deal. I didn't do a thing. They came to me. You want to get inbound traffic, inbound leads, inbound opportunities coming from you. You use the super connectors to show up in the search results on LinkedIn. This is how you get speaking gigs coming to you, paid speaking gigs from the corporate world or from conferences. And here's the real icing on the cake. This is how you get the media to pick you up. The media, the TV stations, the radio stations, the magazines, now consider LinkedIn the #1 source for them to go to find experts in business. And that's who we are, and that's who they want. And they're looking for us on LinkedIn, but the media has never contacted you from LinkedIn because you don't show up in their search results. Now, there's a catch-22 when it comes to being found by the media. What do I mean by that? Well, yes, the media is looking for you, but even if they found you right now, why is it unlikely that they would put you on TV or put you on the radio? Tell me in the chat box. This is another good test to see who our really smart people are, who our really savvy people are. And go ahead and just engage. The engagement is what takes this to the next level and engages your subconscious so that you're getting the most out of this. Why do we call this a catch-22? Why is it that even if the media found you, they probably wouldn't put you on TV right now? And why is it that the rich get richer? The same people always keep getting put on TV. I see the same guy talking about social media on CNN every time I turn it on. Many of you are getting it in the chat box here. It's not just about being unknown. It is about you not having the authority, so you're on the right path here. And I appreciate everyone that's engaging. You're on the right track. Understand this from their perspective. You are a risk to them. That's why they're not going to put you on TV. Why would they when right next to you on LinkedIn, there's probably somebody else that has those media logos in their picture and has already been on TV? Why would they? Okay, I think we've got the audio back on now. If you're hearing me okay, give me a yes in the chat box here. All right. You can see these things never run so perfectly smooth. I'm seeing lots of yeses. And we were just coming to a real important understanding here of what it takes to get into the major media. You see, you're seen as a risk because you've never been on TV before. Why would they risk you accidentally doing something embarrassing or maybe inappropriately plugging your website or your business? What this is, just think the media has like screeners or editors that goes and looks for people. If you do something wrong, that guy gets fired. He's not risking his job on some unknown person. When right next to him on LinkedIn, there's probably somebody else. If he just searches a little further, he sees, oh, here's a guy that's already been on TV. No, this guy, there's no. Okay, I think we're back on again. I'm getting too animated here. My hands are moving around. It's pulling my mic out. That's funny. So Kasem's point here is we're talking about this media. I would have never gotten onto this nationally syndicated TV show on NBC without prior media credentials. This was the single biggest day in the history of my business. This talk show, this was a 3-minute clip on a talk show. You can see it on YouTube. It's still there and still gets traffic for me to this day. But this 3-minute clip was broadcasted into 14 networks. Over 3 million people saw it, and it's the single biggest day in the history of my business. But they would have never put me on TV unless I'd already been in the media. Jack Canfield's editors literally told me when I asked them, we picked you because you were not a risk. You'd already been in the media. We don't want to waste our time on somebody who might turn out to be a flake. Let's take the sure thing. So how do you get into the major media? It's not fair. You deserve to be in the media, but you can't get in unless you've been in. That's not fair. And so how did I do it? How did people break into the inner circle? Well, what I'm about to show you next is how I use this site here to get what's called a media citation. Write this down in your notes today. It may be the most important business strategy I've ever learned and that you're going to learn today. Write down the phrase media citation, and let me explain to you how this is and why it works and how it's so powerful. So this is exactly what a media citation looks like. You're seeing it on the screen here. And so what a media citation is you go to a media company that has a relationship with the networks, and they get you quoted got me quoted onto ABC's webpage. And once I was quoted on the webpage, now I can say, as seen on ABC in this case. Because it's 100% a fact. I was seen on ABC. I'm allowed to say that and use their logo because it's 100% a fact. I leveraged their relationship. It's one of the best investments I've ever made. I paid them several $1,000s, and they have relationships with all 4 of these major U.S. networks. These are the most well-known networks in the world. These are the 4 that you want to try to get onto, because once you're on these 4, you can write your own ticket. If you have just one of these, that's the beginning of getting authority, and it's really good. That's enough to get you on TV and get you customers. But when you have all 4, you can really write your ticket. That's the home run. That's the holy grail. So they had relationships with all 4 of these networks already. I paid them. They got me quoted into all 4 of these networks. Now that authority is transferred to me. Now I can use that profile picture like you see in the bottom right-hand corner here. I can use those logos that I was seeing on these networks. No matter where in the world you're based, these are the 4 networks that you want to be on. I get asked by my friends in the UK all the time, well, Craig, don't I want to be in the BBC? If you're thinking about traffic and exposure, it would make sense to be on your local network or to be on the network that your country is in. But if you're looking at this from an authority standpoint, who's going to have more authority if they're looking at you on LinkedIn? The guy who has just been on the one place, the BBC, or the guy who's been on all 4 of these? If you're in England and you've been on all 4 of these U.S. networks, that's all. see if we're back on now. We may have to go without the mic the rest of the way here. It's going to keep giving us these problems. And although I'm sure it's somewhat my fault, I'm seeing that we're back on again. Thanks for letting me know. So these are the 4 networks that you want to get yourself onto. And so what you want to do is get yourself into the major U.S. networks. Let's hop around here and see where we were in our slides here. I was showing you how I got to the major 4 networks using a media citation. So media citation is, put the phrase citation into the chat box. If you understand why you would want a citation, no matter where you're based, no matter if you're in Canada, no matter if you're in the UK, no matter where you're based, if you have those authority and recognition that comes from these U.S. networks, that's where you want to be. Because once you're on those sites, then and only then can you use those logos. Do not start to use those logos if you have not actually been in the major media. That will get you into big trouble. Now, more importantly, once you have this authority, you become a quoted expert. You now have something that your competition doesn't have. You're now the recognized authority. You're now the person that people are going to listen to. Media citation is a conversion strategy. It's the most powerful conversion strategy because you're leveraging that authority from those networks. This is going to get you more likely to have clients choose you. They're going to see those logos in your profile picture. This is going to be more likely to get you paid speaking gigs. It's going to make you more likely to have paid book deals. And this is how you break into the inner circle. How do you get on TV? Well, first you get the citations so that you're no longer seen as a risk. Then when the TV networks, the magazine articles contact you, you get even more exposure. So a media citation is a very powerful strategy. I'm a straight shooter with you guys, as you've seen here today. So I want to be very clear what a media citation is and what it isn't. A media citation is not a traffic strategy. Just getting quoted through a citation onto those networks is not going to get millions of people seeing you, thousands of people seeing you. It may not even get hundreds of people seeing you. That's not the point of this citation. It's not a traffic strategy, not an exposure strategy. I'm being upfront with you about what a citation is. A citation is a conversion strategy. It's about you being legitimately on the web pages of those networks so that you can use those logos in your profile picture. But it's much bigger than just your profile picture. You can now use those logos on your web page, your business cards, everywhere that you do your marketing. You'll stand out more in all of the search results now. Every time someone Googles you and winds up in your LinkedIn profile, their eye will be captured because you'll have those media logos. You want to have that authority. I will go so far as to say that having those media logos in your profile picture is the single most important thing you can do on LinkedIn to bring in more business. And in fact, beyond LinkedIn, take a look at what Frank Kern, who's considered the top internet marketer in the world from Wikipedia, says. Positioning yourself as an authority is the single most important thing you can do to increase your perceived value to your marketplace. Here you are hearing it from the top person in the industry that the best way to position yourself is to have authority. You need to have this authority. Now, you might be thinking, what about saturation, Greg? You know, if I can just go to a site like you did and pay somebody to get into the major media, you know, won't everybody start to do that? Why is that not a problem? You tell me in the chat box. I know we have some smart people here, some business savvy people here. I see those of you that have been engaging with me here, and I see that you're getting it. And, you know, it's not just that not everyone's going to do it. You're right. Joe, we put that in. Not everybody knows what a media citation is. And even if all of us did it, we have, what, close to 250 people here today? Even if all 250 people did go do it, and they may not have the money to do it, as Beverly says, and they may not take action, as Jane says, but even if all of us did it, let's say everyone who's here today goes out and does this, there's still no way it would look like, well, everybody's in the media now. Why? Because there's 250 million people on LinkedIn. And a lot of businesses aren't even on LinkedIn yet. So there's just no way the numbers, the sheer numbers, say that there's just no way that this could ever become saturated. And that's why this is not a problem. So here's where this gets really, really interesting. Read along with me on the screen. If I read you this message I got on LinkedIn, this message that I got from one of my connections last year changed my life. And for those of you that have been following along and engaging, a light bulb will probably go off for you when you read this message. You will see how this will change your life. Let's read this message together. It says, "Hi, Greg. I noticed the media logos for ABC, Fox, CBS, and NBC on your profile picture. If you don't mind, I was wondering, how can I get those for my profile picture so I can create more authority for my business?" This really set off a light bulb for me. Tell me in the chat box if you're getting this. It's okay if it doesn't come to you at first, because it didn't quite come to me at first either. But what I realized is this is Jack, somebody I don't know. He's seen that I have these logos, and he's reaching out to me saying, "Hey, Greg, can you hook me up with those logos? Don't know how you did it, but could I give you money to do that for me?" Now, what really appealed to me about this is somebody wanting to give me money, and this is not something I'm even trying to sell. I'm not in this business at this point. All I do is have these logos in my profile picture. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been in a lot of businesses where I work really hard to have to market and sell my products and services. I have really good stuff that adds a lot of value to the world, but it's still really hard to market and sell your products and services. And I've always said, well, if I had something people just really wanted, that's a business that I would be in. Now, at the time, I was thinking to myself, you know what, I'm not in the business of doing media authority. But it was very obvious to me that this was a business I needed to be in, because this money was just there to be picked up. And so what did I do? I got in this business. I built a partnership with the site that was offering it and that I had bought it through, where I could become a reseller of it. And I added this very simple pre-sale statement to my LinkedIn profile. This pre-sale statement says, you know how it's hard to get into national publications like NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox, so you can become a celebrity in your field of expertise? I solved this. And then I tell them how I solve it, and then I give them a call to action where they go and buy this for several $1,000s right from my LinkedIn profile. And it sells every week. And all I'm doing is all the same stuff I was already doing. So I still have a pre-sale statement for my main business as well. I've got 2 of them in my LinkedIn profile. And I just added this one, and I created a whole new revenue stream. A revenue stream that was on autopilot, and a revenue stream where I'm giving people what they want. People want this media authority. They know how important it is for their business, but they also want it because it's prestige and it strokes their ego. Well, so far today we have covered the 3-word sentence you must use on your profile to turn it into a selling machine. I trained you on exactly how to do that. Then I gave you the 3 best calls to action. We made this fill in the blank by me giving you the 3 best calls to action. Next, I've shown you here at the end how to get people interested in paying you money just to do that logo thing to their LinkedIn profile that you see. Also, multiply your reach by almost 20 times by connecting with super connectors. If you want to stay till the very end of our Q&A today, where I show you how to get access to the top 100 super connectors. We covered how to land keynote speaking opportunities by getting to the top of the search results on LinkedIn, the 5 key places for you to put your keywords. I showed you how to generate views of your LinkedIn profile, the sneaky, simple strategy of viewing your target audience. But what's next? Well, certainly you need to optimize your profile on LinkedIn with what I've trained you on here today. And that's just a fancy way of saying you need to do the stuff I've shown you here today. And if this gets you just 1 more client, we've already established that's well worth your time here today. On top of that, if you increase your presence in the LinkedIn search results by adding the super connectors, and this gets you a 2nd client, you've now doubled the return on the investment of your time here today. You have also learned the most important thing you learned today is what a media citation is, and that you need to use a media citation to get yourself into the big 4 media outlets, NBC, Fox, ABC, and CBS. You supercharge your business and revenue opportunity on LinkedIn and off LinkedIn once you've been into all 4 of those. That lesson is way bigger than just LinkedIn. Really, all you need to do now is figure out what the best monetization strategy is going to be to put this all together. So here are your choices. Choice number one, you can go at this alone, based just off the information we went over on the webinar today. Choice number two is you can take a look at a limited opportunity I've put together that will give you the most unfair advantages possible on LinkedIn. And that's where I'd like to introduce you to what I call Linked Inception. So what is Linked Inception? Is it a training course? Well, not quite. Is it a mastermind, a coaching program? Is it a done-for-you program? Is there a software? The reason I say not quite to each of these things is that the Linked Inception program includes all of these things and arms you with everything you need to cash in on LinkedIn and become a media authority with those logos cashing in everywhere. So let's start with the training. I'm not somebody who believes in overwhelming you with hours and hours of training. I know you don't have time for that. The value of my training is that it is 30 minutes. It gives you exactly what to say and do on LinkedIn to get sales. What are you going to say to those people that have viewed your profile? You've seen my teaching style. It's fill in the blank, and that's exactly what I give you here. On top of that, you get 5 group coaching webinars with me to answer any questions you have about the training, to make sure you're succeeding with the training. Now, it gets better. Remember how important it is to get placed into the major media? Through our partnership, we are able to guarantee you placement within 7 business days into all 4 of these major networks. This is the authority that you need to have. Once you have been seen on these 4 networks and start using these logos in your marketing, in your LinkedIn profile, in your Facebook, your life and your business will change. It will go to the next level. People will see you in a new way. In a simple glance, you will be creating authority and creating more business for you. So we are able to get any business owner, any professional cited, which means quoted, onto all 4 of these major news networks. I'll show you exactly how we're able to do this during the Q&A here today. And don't worry if you're thinking, well, what would I ever be quoted for? Don't let your own lack of self-esteem or feeling of not being worthy of being in the media hold you back from this. I'm going to show you how we can get any and everyone quoted into the major media. You'll be in a media citation exactly like the example I showed you here today. Now, it's guaranteed placement. There's no one in the world that can guarantee placement. No PR firm, no publicist. I'll show you how we're able to guarantee it. I did this. This is how I broke into the inner circle. Once you're in the inner circle, that's when the TV interviews, the radio interviews, the magazine articles all start to come. That's how I got on to CNN, Wall Street Journal. I was in Fast Company magazine. That's how I got picked up for the TV show, the book deal, all because I first paid to play, used the media citation strategy to break into that inner circle and was no longer seen as a risk. So it's guaranteed placement, and we'll even add the logos to your profile picture. So you'll have a profile picture that looks just like this. This is a complete done-for-you media authority program. Now, remember earlier when I showed you how just having these logos can get people asking you to do this for their LinkedIn profile? Well, what if you could offer this same media authority package to your clients, to anyone who might see you on LinkedIn? People are going to see you on LinkedIn and are going to want this. So this can literally wind up costing you nothing to do this, because if you have just a few people that you hook up with this, you're making your money back. And this can become a whole new revenue stream for you. And best of all, me and my team does all of the work. We're doing all of the fulfillment. These are those $100 bills that are on the ground on LinkedIn just waiting to be picked up, because people see your authority and they wonder how you do it, and they want you to be able to do it for them. As an authorized reseller, and you can only become a reseller by going through our Linked Inception training program, you are able to get those logos for your clients, and then your clients can use those in all of their existing marketing, as can you. Realize this is much bigger than LinkedIn. This is not about convincing businesses to use LinkedIn. This is not just about you succeeding on LinkedIn. This is about you having more authority in all of the marketing that you're doing. Think about a restaurant. If they could, I just got this a restaurant down the street from me cited and quoted as the top Italian restaurant in Tampa Bay. They now have that in their storefront, on their menus, on their web page. How much is that worth to that restaurant for the rest of their life to be able to have that? The restaurant's not interested in LinkedIn, but they're interested in authority. All businesses want to have this authority. So you're able to offer major media placement guaranteed to any business. We sell this to clients all day long, starting at $1,000 per network that they want to be on. Well, you're able to resell this at our bare bones cost of $200. So you pay us $200, you keep everything else. You're keeping all the profits, you're reaping all the benefits, you're making your money back with one client when you get them enrolled. So can you imagine what it would be worth to any business owner, any speaker, any coach, for when you're able to hook them up with guaranteed placement into all 4 of these networks? You now have that power to do that for them. If you want proof, take a look at Derby Perez. This is in his first 2 weeks in our business. He says, I just got 2 deals yesterday. One for $1K, another for $1,500. Just raised my prices to $2,500, and I have 3 appointments tomorrow to present it. We'll let you know how it goes. Businesses want this media authority. It's what they want and what they need. And legitimate businesses have no problem spending a few $1,000s to do this. Now, just to ensure your success, when you're in this LinkedInception program, you're now a business partner with me. So I'm also going to include an invitation to come to my live mastermind group, where you'll meet with me in person to get the most out of your authority and your LinkedIn through hot seat sessions. My clients, my VIP clients, are paying $8,000 a year to come to this. This is my high-ticket, high-end coaching program. I'm including this for you because we're essentially becoming partners when you become a reseller of this authority package. It's in my best interest to help you succeed at the highest level. So you can come out to Tampa, where I live. We have a session kicking off in August. Our next one is going to be on a cruise to Cozumel. We'll also be in San Diego and in Las Vegas. All 4 of these are included, and for you, and you can bring a partner or a spouse when you join the LinkedInception program. So what's your investment to get all of this, to be in this business with me? Well, if you were to pay a PR firm, what would be the going rate? Anyone on this call ever tried to hire a PR firm? Put into the chat box what you've paid. I know I paid my publicist $2,000 a month. That's about the going rate. And they were very upfront with me. I appreciated that. They said, Greg, we can't guarantee you a thing for $2,000 a month. And they got me onto some local radio shows. They did not get me into any of the major 4 networks. And I was okay with that because they were upfront with me about what they were doing, just like I'm being upfront with you. So that's $6,000. And they couldn't guarantee me anything. That sets the bar and what the value is for just getting you this guaranteed media citation. Now, of course, you're going to have the ability to resell this package, which means you could easily be making $6,000 each time you help somebody do this. Each time you hook them up with this, and you're not doing any of the work. Remember, I'm not training you on how to go out and do this. I'm doing it all for you, for your clients. So the value of what you're getting here, you're getting guaranteed done-for-you citations into all 4 of those major media networks for yourself, for your existing business. That alone, for what that would do for your business, is a $6,000 value. If you don't have a business, we'll get you cited as a media authority expert. Then you have the ability to resell this and make $6,000, make your money back. And you're getting this invitation to come to my private mastermind group 4 times a year. A legit $8,000 value to come work with me live in person. And you're getting my LinkedIn training, the best LinkedIn training that's out there, and 5 coaching webinars with me. So here's the deal. This would be a great deal to invest $19.97 for this program. This is what most programs of this sort are going for, even without the mastermind. This is a done-for-you and a coaching program. Now, and the software we haven't even touched on yet. wait till you see what the software is going to do to generate leads and traffic for your business and for this as a business opportunity for you. Just based on what this would do for your business, not even counting the reseller opportunity, $19.97 would be a tremendous deal and investment. The special offer of $9.97 is a tremendous deal because this program is worth 10 times that in terms of the real value that you're getting from this program. But because you're the kind of person that I would want to partner with, because I know that you're going to have people that are going to see this or are going to want this, and I'm going to be able to make more money in the long run by partnering with you, I want to give you the best deal we've ever offered this for or ever will offer it for, so that you can start bringing this to the world with me and we can go on to make money together. A one-time investment of $7.97 gets you everything we've talked about today. So remember, you sell one authority package for $1,000. That gets that client into all 4 of those networks. Normally they would pay $1,000 each. You give them a deal where they pay $1,000. You turn around and pay us $200 to do all the work, and you've made your $800 back in one package. Now, there is a catch to this super special deal. And by the way, to get in on this deal, you want to go now to linkedinception.com/deal. That's the special website that we've set up just for today's webinar. We do have a payment plan option available for you as well there. linkedinception.com/deal is where you want to go. Now, when something sounds this good, there is a catch. And as you've seen today, I'm a straight shooter with you guys. I don't duck the potential objections. I'm not afraid to tell you what the catch is. The catch is that this special one-time investment of $7.97 for everything is available to only a very limited number of enrollments. Because I will be coaching you personally in this mastermind, there is just no way we can physically take on everyone who's going to want to do this. With 250 people here today, or if you're watching this on the replay, believe me, this is something that's going to hit capacity. There's just no way I can have 250 people show up to my home for the mastermind. It's not physically possible. We've got to put limitations on this because of the physical size and because of the nature of me helping you. So you need to act right now. Don't wait until the webinar ends. There's no time limit on this offer. It's when we hit capacity, we are at capacity. LinkedInception.com/deal is where you need to go now to claim your